Good day, welcome again to another class in our studies in commerce. This time around we are looking at one of those aids to trade that we've been discussing ever since. We talked about communication, we discussed advertising, and we took insurance just now. A part of it, though not all, we're still going to do more, but now we're looking at tourism as another aid to trade in commerce and makes commerce to be very, very efficient or important in our national life. So tourism is one of them. So let's look at tourism as a topic for this discussion. So by the end of this lesson, these are the things you're expected to be able to do or know. Now you should be able to define tourism, define a tourist, and mention various forms of tourism, state the advantages and disadvantages of tourism, list at least 20 tourist centers or thereabouts in Nigeria, outline the importance of tourism, and state the problems of tourism as well. So let's see how much you can take on this. Let's go. Thank you. The meaning of tourism or definition of tourism is the first item here. So what is tourism? Tourism is the practice of traveling to places of interest for pleasure, entertainment, relaxation, or recreation. As a practice of traveling to places of interest for pleasure, for entertainment, for relaxation, or recreation. So that is what tourism is. So anytime you have left your house to a particular location because you want to relax, because you want to engage in recreational activity, because of pleasure or entertainment that gives you satisfaction, it's called tourism. It's not only when you pack your bags and travel abroad, right? So take note. So tourists. Who are tourists or who is a tourist? These are people or persons who are visiting a place for recreation, pleasure, entertainment, or relaxation. People who are embarking on tourism are called tourists. Is that clear? I'm sure it is. Tourist centers. These are places people visit on tourism or on tourist visitation. All right? These are places people visit for tourism. They are called tourist centers or resort centers. These places that people visit are called tourist centers or resort centers. We have many of them. Even now, a lot of them are coming up around us. So much of them are coming up around us. Just take note. Places that people visit for entertainment, for pleasure, for relaxation, or for recreation. Any such place around you, know it to be what? A tourist center or site. It must not be so pronounced, but yes, some people come there to get relaxation, to get relaxed, for recreation and other reasons. Okay? We have various forms of tourism. There are numerous. Let's look at them. Here, this is what you call adventure tourism. People who have interests in going to very, very, very uncommon places. Places that human beings possibly don't really stay or live in. They go into nature of various types to see and encounter what happens there, how the life is over there. You can see these places. This is an ice island, ice mountains. In various places, so they are climbing the mountain. You can also call this a mountaineering kind of, but you can see it's also an ice island. So this is an adventure tourism. When you go to places of this nature, you are embarking on what? Adventure tourism. You see agricultural tourism. They're also what we call agricultural tourism, because in this kind of tourism, you who are not in the rural areas or agricultural areas where they do agriculture might find yourself willing or interested in going to see how farmlands look like, how farms look like. All right. And if you do that for recreational purpose, for pleasure purpose, you have embarked on what? Agricultural tourism. You see, these days, some children don't know what a farm looks like because they move from their houses through their parents' cars to exotic places, not farm at all. They don't go close to farms. So if at all they have a chance to visit a farm, to know what happens there, to see what happens there and encounter it, they have just done what? They have just embarked on agricultural tourism. This is archaeological tourism. Archaeological tourism is another type of tourism. This is visitation to historical centers. You have the Eiffel Tower in France. People go there to see what it looks like physically, but apart from the picture you see. You see ancient Egyptian sites. All right. You have the pyramid, but this is not a pyramid. This is an example of an ancient structure. All right. Ancient sites are mostly archaeological sites. So when people go there to have a view, to know about the place, they embark on what is called archaeological tourism. Right? This example of the pyramid, the Egyptian pyramid. I don't know if this how it looks physically, but of course you know that this is a pyramid. So there could be other forms of pyramid other places, but this one of them, okay, a pyramid. We also have what's called art tourism. Art tourism. You know, when you go to a museum where you have artifacts saved there, ancient and different types, you have just embarked on what is called art tourism. In a museum, you can also go to a cultural festival of arts. That also means what you are going for two things: cultural tourism as well as art tourism. So these are exposures to different forms of arts. When you do such a thing, you are embarking on what? Art tourism. We have atomic tourism. This is a travel to significant sites of atomic history. All right, when you go to, of course, I think this should be the Hiroshima atomic site. No, this is not Hiroshima. This is in Las Vegas. What happened here, only God knows. But this is a tourist, this is an atomic site. Maybe a bomb was released here sometime in Las Vegas, and then it becomes people visit there for knowledge. People visit there for pleasure, to see, oh, wow, this is what happened when this thing happened. All right. You have, this could also be another form of, this is another site of atomic event. All right. This might be the Hiroshima. I don't know what Hiroshima looks like, but this might be a Hiroshima site because everything was leveled according to the history. Everything was leveled to normal ground. Okay, so this could be it. All right. You have bookstore tourism or book tourism. These are visitations to libraries of ancient nature or libraries of very large size, just to, you know, see books of different areas of life that you can't find in a normal library. All right, you just visit to see how books are maybe arranged, the beauty of books, thousands and millions of books in a particular building. You could call it what? Book tourism. You look at this library here. It's so beautifully arranged, and these books are in their thousands, if not in millions. So you cannot really read all. So, but this gives you a sight of view of books of various nature. We have cruise tourism. Cruise. This is a nature by the sea. Oh, this beautiful cruise ship. You wish you are inside this ship to enjoy the view and to enjoy the pleasure. So when some people go on a cruise, all right, they just enter a cruise ship, pay for it on a round trip journey. At night they come out to see the beauty of the night and the sea, and daytime, morning, all the times of the day, they come out to view and see and enjoy pleasure. That's what we call tourism, okay? And these are just examples of cruise ships going and coming. So people bought these cruise ships for various reasons, okay? We have cultural tourism, I mentioned before. Cultural tourism, like the one we have in, we normally have every year in Calabar during the Christmas period, Okay, they call it cultural festival. People travel from different countries to come for that event. What they are engaging in is what is cultural tourism. All right, so Calabar Festival, and they call it, a lot of states also adopted that now. They do cultural festival. That in itself, when people come from various places to enjoy such a presentation, they are engaging in what? Cultural tourism. We have disaster tourism. Not too different from atomic tourism, but this one is not atomic, it's disaster. When there are natural disasters that occur, storm, flooding, earthquake, and the rest of them, people can go see how the areas were affected. In such an event, you are engaging in what is called disaster tourism. Okay? We have, this is another form of disaster. Floodings, covering some areas of land, fire as well. They are disasters in nature. So when you go to visit such a site, you have just engaged in what? Disaster tourism. And you have skydiving. This is a form of adventure, of course. It's an adventure in nature. You enjoy nature. You scout nature. All right, scout through nature. Imagine this: if you're diving, it's a very good sight to behold. So it's a kind of what adventure tourism you have. When we have all these places that people visit is called, or we call them what? Tourist centers or resort centers. Now we have so many of them in Nigeria. So we're going to have a list of those kind of tourist sites in Nigeria, tourist centers in Nigeria, and see what they look like. Some of them pictures are here available. We can look at them and see. So we have the tourist centers in Nigeria. Number one of them is called Obudu Cattle Ranch. Obudu Cattle Ranch. That's a popular name in the world for a tourist center. They have animals, live animals, wildlife in there. You can see this is a horn of a bull, showing you that as well as you cross this entrance, be ready to see any kind of animal, live ones. So it's like a game reserve, but it's a tourist site for different reasons. So people go there to have a view, and they are led by a tourist guide. This is called the Long Juju Shrine of Arochukwu. It's inside a cave. You keep going in and in. You don't know when it gets to an end. It's very long. The shrine, from place to place, you see one or two things. It's called the Long Juju Shrine of Arochukwu. It's a site. People go there to see. We have Yankari Games Reserve in Bauchi. This is wildlife reserve. You can see a herd of elephants, all right, gathered. There are other animals who are here, not just elephants. It's a beautiful sight to behold. Can you see it? Yankari Games Reserve is one of the tourist sites. People go to these places. You can call it a zoo, but in this case, it's a wildlife reserve. We have Azumini Blue River Rose in Abia State. Blue River Rose in Abia State. From above, this river is blue. If you want to check it, you just take a helicopter, you see a blue river above or beneath you. So it's a sight to behold. It's uncommon, all right? So something like this is something you can actually take out time to go and see. You ride through or paddle through the river and see the beauty of it, and it gives you pleasure. That is what tourist activity. Well, this is Lekki Beach, popular Lekki Beach in Lagos. All right, it's a sight to behold as well. People go there for recreational activities, for pleasure, and the rest of them. This is Lekki Beach. This one is in Abuja, or another part of the country. It's called the Zuma Rock. It's called the Zuma Rock. Zuma Rock is a tourist site in Nigeria from another part of the country. Okay, this is actually Zuma Rock. You can see here there's a huge bird. What's the name of this bird? Ostrich. Okay, yes, ostrich walking around near the Zuma Rock. It's a free for all. So yes. Now, having seen these, there are many other sites in Nigeria we can look at, but these are the few of them we can entertain in this lesson. So what are the factors that encourage tourism? Why would a country, why would a person, why would a state or a nation create tourist centers? The reasons are these factors we have here. Number one, we have favorable climate. Some countries have the desirable climate for some kind of tourist sites. And for that reason, they are encouraged to go ahead to create a tourist center or a resort center that matches that weather or that climate. Some have fine beaches, like we have here. We have Lekki Beach, we have Badagry, Bar Beach, Ibeto, Ibano. We have so many beaches in Nigeria, right? I have this one in Cross River that's just newly established. Forgotten the name, but of course there's one in Cross River that has a beach that has been developed as a tourist site. We have wildlife or game reserves. Countries with this nature can actually create a game reserve. We have the Yankari Game Reserve and we have the Bogu Game Reserves. So many of them, all right? A lot of forests in Nigeria houses animals, and when they are preserved in this form, they become what? A game reserve or a tourist site or resort. We have effective publicity. Some places are well publicized that people want to visit, all right? And if such becomes the case, it automatically becomes what? A tourist site or a tourist site. So other reasons or factors are beautiful sceneries. You know, there are some places you go to, they are so beautiful naturally and becomes what? A sight to behold. And people want to go there. You can imagine cliffs, all right? Plateaus that give you a very wide view of areas in front of you. You can just go there because they're beautiful sceneries. You have a view. You feel the freshness of the air and nature, and that gives you pleasure. And people want to go there for such reasons as well. That becomes what? A tourist site naturally. You have good transport network. Some places become tourist site because people can easily access them. All right? People just want to drive around that place, those kind of places, and enjoy nature. And in so doing, they become a tourist site, or tourist sites are developed because of good transport network. You have adequate communication system working for such purpose. For that reason, they can be encouraged to develop a tourist site when you have adequate communication system in a particular area that is workable for a tourist site. That can encourage the development of a tourist center there. Relative political stability. Yes, some countries don't have tourist site because there is insecurity or political instability. One government comes in and encourages it, the other government comes in and discourages it. So it may bring an issue. But where there is stability in politics, it can also encourage development of tourist sites. Then we have inability of the people around, hospitality of the people around the center. All right, some persons are naturally hospitable in some areas, and so what they have there can attract a lot of people, and because they are hospitable, people who are willing to go encounter them, interact with them. All right, so that becomes what? Another form of tourism or tourist center. We have presence of historic sites. Yes, there's one rock in Ogun State. That rock in itself is a historic site. It looks like a big rock kept on top of a small stone. All right, some of them are looking like animals, so it gives you a pleasure to behold. So those are historic sites or places where great events have taken place before now, like the Civil War. There are places where you go to see used ammunitions or arms that are kept there for tourist visitation. Such places are historic in nature, so they become a tourist site as the case may be. So yes, these are factors that encourages tourism in some countries and some places. You see, we have cultural heritages of some places. The Igbo masquerades in Enugu becomes a tourist visitation when the time is right. People go to see masquerades of different types in Enugu because that is unusual and is unique to that place. So it becomes a tourist attraction. Hotels of international standards, e.g. Sheraton Hotel in Lagos, Durban Hotel in Kaduna, and the rest of them, all right, also bring people around. Hotels are built in a way that when you walk around, you think you're not, you're somewhere outside this world. That makes it a tourist attraction. So people also are encouraged to visit those places because of their nature. Favorable government policy can also encourage tourism activity. We have good security in the country. When a country that has that is well secured, people can easily visit them because of how secure and beautiful the countries are. That also becomes an encouragement to tourism for such a place. Now, see, having known this, we are going to look at the good things about tourism, what makes tourism attractive, and what brings about tourism activities, the benefit that comes from it as well. Now, advantages of tourism. Okay, actually we have a disadvantage, but there are advantages of tourism, so we'll look at them and then we can possibly, talk about it. Now, what are the advantages of tourism? We have foreign exchange earnings for tourism. When people visit your country that are not citizens of the country, they come in with their currencies, all right? And they cannot trade in that country. They cannot buy or make payments in the country that visit with their own currency. They have to exchange this currency to a local currency of that nation they are visiting. In that case, any money earned from that process is called a foreign exchange earnings. So it's an advantage for the country who is hosting tourists. They earn what? Foreign exchange. So it's an advantage for them. Generation of employment. Because of the need of personnel to carry out one assignment or the other in these tourist activities, it creates jobs for some people. So it helps to generate more employment in the country when tourism is encouraged and practiced. And then we have improvement of transport facilities as well. Because of the need of tourism, because of the importance and the desire for tourism, some countries decided to expand and improve their transport facilities and system. In such a case, it becomes a natural advantage for those places that have improved transport system. So it's an advantage as well. Or the need to create transport routes to tourist sites. When that is done, it becomes an advantage and improvement to the system. So for tourism, it's an advantage. And then it creates, there's an increase in commercial activities. Yes, of course, when there's an improvement in tourist activities, there's always a period of buying and selling, all right, that takes place. So in such a case, it also improves or increases commercial activities when there's a boom in tourism, when there's an increase in tourist activities in a nation. We have provision of infrastructure as well. Some places become developed because of tourism, and they could become improved water system, water supply, improved electricity supply, improved infrastructural facilities in those areas. Such a case, we see it as what? As an advantage coming from tourism activities. We have development of towns. Yes, in the places where you have tourist sites or resort centers, you can imagine what will happen. Those who have interest in such a place might decide to dwell near them. And as more people come closer, before you know it, that place is becoming more developed than it used to be. So tourism also brings about development of towns where you have tourist sites or resort sites or centers. These are the advantages we have for tourism. And then we'll look at the disadvantages of tourism. There may be more than these, but these are the ones we have captured for your learning purposes. Now we have loss of traditional values and culture for local people. When people come from other countries into a particular country and they become influential in one way or the other, even those who are locals might begin to feel inferior. They begin to copy what those people are doing, which is their own culture. And before you know, they are beginning to lose their culture, their values to foreign tourists who come visiting. That is a disadvantage as well for some countries or some places. We have spread of diseases, AIDS, AIDS, Some places may never have encountered AIDS, but because of visitations of people from outside the country, these diseases are spread freely, and so it's a disadvantage as well. It's not good for tourism. Other problems of over dependence on the tourist industry can also make a nation to become poor or underdeveloped. Some countries have only tourist industry as a source of income, and when adverse weather condition arises, they become broke as a nation. The income falls and they cannot really earn much from that industry. So such a case is what is a disadvantage for tourist activity. Now that's disadvantage. Now let's look at why is tourism encouraged? Why is tourism encouraged? Tourism is encouraged because of the following reason. Leisure. Tourism brings what? Leisure. Leisure. It enables people to enjoy their leisure time. It creates an avenue for people to have leisure. Because if you work and work and work and work, you don't allow time for leisure, you become more stressed and you drop in your productivity or efficiency. So leisure is one reason why there should be tourism or tourist activities in a nation. Also recreation. It creates room for recreation. People just go and loosen up, can you engage yourself in one activity or the other that will take you away from normal work activity, normal daily life. So that's also one reason for justification of tourism. We have education. It promotes acquisition of knowledge. Some places you go to, you learn new things and learn how nature operates and how nature is created. So these also are reasons or justification for what tourism, why people must go out and learn new things and see new places that are not usual to them. Now, having known all this, there are also problems that comes with tourism aside the identified disadvantages. Right? There are problems that can hinder tourism. Now, one of them is inadequate funding. Inadequate funding can bring a problem in tourism. It can destabilize tourist activities and make it go bad. Lack of access to roads or access road can also hinder tourism activities. Some of them will become deserted because of access road not being accessible or available. We have poor publicity. When people don't know much about a place, they may not be attracted going there. So that in itself is a problem for tourism. When a place is properly publicized, people go there because they want to know exactly what they are saying about that place. So you see some countries will use some tourist sites to advertise their nation so that people can visit them. All right. So a place with improper or poor publicity will be discouraging toward tourist sites. Inadequate infrastructure can also become a problem where you need more infrastructure to encourage tourist activities and it's not available. Such a case becomes a problem for tourism. Lack of adequate security can also discourage tourism activities. So because people don't want to get hurt or be killed for one reason or the other, all right? So that in this case becomes a problem for tourism. Absence of tourism board in a country who will oversee and plan how tourism should be done in a country will also make it impossible for tourism to be encouraged in a country. Then we have lack of private investment in tourism. Some countries don't give room for people to invest in tourist activities or tourist centers except for hotels, but such also can become a big problem for tourism. We will not have an avenue for tourism to develop in such a country or place. So when private individuals or private companies don't invest in tourism, and then they leave it to government alone, government may not be able to adequately provide for tourist activities. So such a case is a problem for tourism. We have inadequacy of tourism personnel, or we call them tour guides. It could be tour guides or personnel that work in the tourist industry or tourism industry. If they are not enough, it also hinder or limit tourism development in a country. So all these are seen as problems that can be encountered in tourism business in a country. So what are the solutions when these problems are encountered? Okay, so having discussed the problems of tourism in the country and other disadvantages we've discussed, we can look at the solution. So what are the solutions to the problems of tourism discussed earlier on? These problems are easy to come by. It's not difficult. Just look at the flip side of the problem, you get your solution. Turn the page over, you get your solution. So in that case, we look at problems or solution under the possible solutions under the problems that we have. Now we look at adequate funding, which we say lack inadequate funding. Now if you do adequate funding, all right, the tourism industry will develop and grow. If there's adequate funding from the government or generally people invest into funding, for tourism activities, it will definitely grow. We have establishment of tourist fund or tourism fund. Okay, there should be preservation of fund for tourist activities by the government of a nation to encourage tourism activities. Provision of enabling environments, a secure and adequate environment that will blossom in tourism activity. We encourage it to grow. People don't want to get hurt when it's not secure and the environment is not enabling. So embarking on aggressive marketing or to promote tourism. Like I said, some countries have used beautiful sceneries to advertise their nation, and you have them almost everywhere scattered. So just pick it out and then market these sites for tourist visitations. If that is not done, there will not be growth in tourism activities. So we encourage embarking on aggressive marketing for what? To promote tourist activities. Now, as the first solution. The fifth solution is to engage the private sector. Make policies that will enable and encourage private investment in tourism. Private sector can be a lot of support for tourist activities if they have the enabling policy that can help them invest and make profits, because private sector are profit oriented. So if they don't see any profit in investing in tourism activities, they will not. So what do? You engage the private sector and make sure that policies are established to encourage and promote their business in tourist activity. Now, the last but not the least is to establish more tourist boards to encourage the growth and development of tourism in a country. There should be a board that is in charge of tourist programming and activities. With this, they'll have an eye of what is needed and the problems and how to face them and solve it. These are the things we should be doing if we want tourism to blossom in a country. Okay. We have come to the end of this lesson. I'm sure you have been able to follow through, and I know you enjoyed it. Those beautiful sights you saw makes the learning very, very exciting. Please, anytime you see questions on this topic, don't forget any aspect of it that we've learned here so far. I'm sure that you enjoyed yourself. Thank you very much. See you in the next class.